Good evening, everyone. My name is Nicola Levy, and on behalf of Adath Sisterhood, I'd like to welcome you to tonight's event, Munchies with Miriam. Miriam Pearl, our chef tonight, she is the recipe developer and entrepreneur behind Delicious Without Gluten, a unique Montreal company that prepares and sells exclusively kosher, gluten-free prepared foods. Previous to that, she owned a design studio for 18 years and a peanut-free bakery, Mimi Melon, for 2 years. With one child who suffers with severe food allergies and both children with celiac disease, Miriam decided to leave the bakery behind to focus full-time on the health, care, and safety of her children. Understanding the challenges of having children with allergies and gluten intolerance prompted her to create this innovative business, providing healthy, delicious, safe-to-eat foods. We are thrilled to have her with us tonight, and she will be demonstrating 2 wonderful recipes: Swiss scrolls and Brazilian cheese bites. These can easily be prepared by you for the upcoming Shavuot celebration. Shavuot or any other time that you would like to have a delicious gluten-free dessert or appetizer, such as Passover, for example, where you might need to have gluten-free, of course. Now, everyone who's registered tonight should have received the list of ingredients for these 2 items, but you haven't. If you haven't, please wait to the end of the presentation and we will give you an email address that you can request the ingredient list from. Now, also, we're recording tonight's demonstration and it's going to be available on adath.ca so that you can review it in the future to follow along while you're preparing the delicious recipes. Now, during the demonstration, Miriam would be happy to answer questions. Please just unmute yourself to ask a question, or you could put something in the chat bar and I'll tell Miriam that somebody is wanting to ask a question. Okay. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Miriam, and she's going to start her demo tonight with her yummy Swiss scrolls dessert. Over to you, Miriam.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm very happy to share some knowledge, especially at Shavuot. So I wanted something perhaps with some dairy. I don't usually do dairy, but today we are going to do a little bit of this and that. We are going to start off with the Swiss rolls. Basically, it is a chocolate cake. And we're going to show you how to make the cake using some eggs and a little bit of potato starch and some cocoa powder. And then I'm going to show you how to roll it and how to decorate it, because there's lots of different ways. Today I made just one roll that you see over there, and I decorated it like a Torah. So that would make it more for Shavuot. And actually I did that because usually I put 2 really big rolls side by side and make a really big one. And then someone said, in COVID, nobody eats that much cake. So I decided just to cut it in half and put them side by side. And that's what happened. So we're going to start off. There's going to be a little bit of noise happening because we're going to be whipping up some eggs and some yolks. So what I did before, so you didn't have to see me try to crack the eggs and do all the work, I put the egg whites inside a pan that I'm gonna heat up. And I have the egg yolks that I put inside my mixer. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a half a cup of sugar in each of these parts of the eggs. So we're going to end up beating up the egg yolks with this, with the sugar, and we're going to be warming up on the stove the sugar and the egg white. So come with me, and I have a gas stove, so it's pretty fast. I'm just going to take one of these whisks. So if you want to just come all the way up. If you just whisk it, together, you will, you're going to be trying to get rid of the grit of the sugar. And we're going to use our finger very lightly to test it to see when that grit will disappear. So as soon as you get the grit, you don't want to cook the eggs. You just want it to be hot enough where it becomes without the grit. And that is a really great way to make a meringue. It's no fail, and it always works out. Okay, so we're actually finished. It's that fast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over here and whisk it up. And at the same time, I'm going to take the egg yolks and with the sugar, and we're going to make it into a very light, pale color. And I'm not going to talk now because it's going to make noise. So I've got two things going on at the same time. It might take some time, a few minutes until everything comes together. So I hope you guys are patient. Maybe take a coffee. Sometimes I think people are afraid. I don't know if you hear me, but people are sometimes afraid to make egg whites and thinking that it won't work. But by heating up the sugar, it really gives it no fail, whipping as long as you want. It doesn't stiffen up or crack or overbeat. As fast as I can go, guys.
Miriam, can I ask you a question? There's a question in the chat box.
If you only have one mixer, just make sure you do the egg whites first. And you don't want the grease from the egg yolk. And you just put it in a bowl and this one is ready. It's already light pale. This one is not ready yet. It's because I have only a milliliter. It's not as strong. It has to come to 6 weeks. Still not ready, guys. So this is live. If I was on television, it would be like, oh, and here it is. But we don't have that. Give me another minute. Okay, it's actually not as stiff as it should be, but I'm gonna stop because it won't make much of a difference. And I don't want to waste time. So I want to show you, it's a really easy way to make sure that even if you overbeat and beat and beat and beat, it actually will come stiff and it won't fail you because you've already melted the sugar inside. And so that's a lot of what people are afraid of, is to make a meringue. So that meringue and this egg yolk is going to create the cake. So I'm going to add to the egg yolk, we're going to put in a 1/4 cup of potato starch and a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. Now you can put in baking powder. I put that in like that. But the truth is, I don't usually use it because this is like my favorite Passover recipe. And I don't usually use the baking powder, but we can, so we will. And I'm just going to beat this up a little bit so it's mixed up. You can see all the flour sort of. Yeah. And just beat it up a little bit. And then we're going to mix some egg whites into the mixture. And I'm going to mix, let me get my my spatula. So what we do is we take a little bit of this egg yolk mixture that's now with cocoa powder. So it's a little bit brown. Hold on. And we're going to put a little bit of it inside. I'm going to take a little bit of the egg whites and put it inside to loosen it up a little bit. And then add again a little bit more. And you have to remember that these egg whites are not actually fully done because I didn't want to waste too much time. And then you keep adding little by little, and you'll see it'll get a little bit more creamy. So here we go. I'm going to put the rest of it in. And we'll mix that up, and that's the whole thing. It is not long, other than the fact that you have to beat the egg whites and the sugar, which takes a little bit longer. If anyone's ever made icing called a 7-minute icing, it's using the egg whites, and really it takes 7 minutes for it to whip up. So that's why they call it a 7-minute icing. But this is now our batter for the pan. And you have parchment paper that I cut. And what I did, I folded the edges so that there's like a wall. And I don't, if anybody else uses parchment paper, you can just snip into the corners and they fall into place so that they make nice edges. I don't know if you guys do this, but I always do that. It helps to keep the edges straight. So I'm ready to put this in my batter. I hope it's going to come out because the egg whites weren't stuff, so that you guys can see. I have another cake that I will be using to do the filling so you guys can see what that is. Now, this usually is a lot stiffer, and the only way that you can actually move it around in the pan, and the only way that I found that you can do it, is with this. So this is a spatula. I don't know if anybody uses this tool, but it has a little bit of an edge. And what I do is I use it to spread that around. Without it, there's not much that I would be able to spread around. And this always flattens everything perfectly. And if anyone here ever cake decorates, they'll know that this is an invaluable tool. So this actually will help to bring it to the edges very easily, very smooth, and it's ready to go into the oven. Now it goes into the oven for only 15 minutes, but it's a good idea to test it by pressing on it to make sure it's a little bit spongy when you take it out, because if it's not cooked enough, it will fall. So you just have to, I have to say it's pretty sturdy. It rarely ever happens. So we should be good. So I'm gonna put this into the oven. This is real time, guys. So I'm trying to make it happen faster, but we do have another one. We'll see how to take the parchment paper off. I'm gonna put the timer on for 15 minutes. It's at 350 degrees. And now we have the option of making the whipped cream or showing you how to make it. And since I've used that beater and it's very nosy, I think I might just explain how to do it because it's super easy. There's lots of different fillings you can make. First of all, if you don't like chocolate, you don't have to make chocolate cake. You can have vanilla cake. How do you do that? Instead of the cocoa powder, you just put a quarter cup of more potato starch, and it will, and then you'll have to add a little bit of flavor. So maybe you want it to be lemon, maybe you want it to be vanilla, maybe you want it to have something else inside. So you can keep it plain. And then instead of having the inside as a cream cheese frosting, you can change the cream cheese frosting into, I don't know, like a raspberry jam inside with some whipped cream. Like, it's really up to you how you decide to do it. It's just really easy. You have egg whites, you have egg yolks, you put some potato starch, and voila. And then you beat it all together, it goes in the oven, and I'll show you how to take it out. This one is because I like to have, well, I'm very used to dairy-free, so I've always got my dairy-free topping. It's very handy and it's easy to whip up. But because it was Shavuot, I wanted to do something with cream cheese. So what I did was I took a full cream cheese. You can use light, you can use regular, doesn't matter. And you whip it up in the same type of mixer. And then you add your entire can of, not can, but your dairy-free topping, or you can use real whipped cream if you want. And you mix it and you beat it together until it's solid. And this is actually what it looks like. It just is solid and it tastes really good. Has a bit of a salty flavor from the cream cheese, and you can still taste the whipped cream inside. So that is my filling for today. You can also, after you put that filling in, if you have anything else you want to put inside, like maybe some caramel chips or some fudge or some, I don't know, whatever. I can go on for hours about this. So I'm just going to show you when the actual cake comes out of the oven, I will show you how to peel off the parchment paper. But what I did was I made one earlier so that I could show you. And what I did was I put it onto a towel that has some cocoa powder and some icing sugar so that it doesn't stick to my towel. But immediately what I did was I rolled it over like this. Can you see? I don't know if you could see. And then I just kind of rolled it up like a sushi and just rolled it like this. And then while it was hot, and I just let it sit on the counter. So it's been on the counter for about 4 hours, but it's good. It works. Like this, I can roll it back and roll it back again. And now I'm pretty sure it's sturdy enough that when I put my filling inside, it's going to stay. So I'm going to go back and just going to wash my spatula because I like this spatula. It's going to be the same one that I use for to spread the batter. And I'm just gonna do the same thing with my whipped cream cheese filling. And I'm gonna spread it right on top. Looks really good. Does anyone have any questions? No?
I have a comment that I wrote in the chat.
Yeah,
Someone
I
want
want
to
to
read
thank
that?
you for the tip. No, you can, oh, I was just going to say, thanks for the tip about snipping the ends of the parchment paper. Mine, of course, always pops up, but now it won't. So, and I like this, what you're doing now, cream cheese and, forgot, short-term memory loss, but whatever, I have the
Whipped
recipe.
cream. Okay, so I put the whipped cream. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Miriam, sorry, because there were some questions in the chat. Would you like me to read them?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
Okay, so someone had asked, it just says iPads, I don't know who it is, but they asked, would a sugar substitute work, like stevia?
In what?
Well, when you, okay, right at the beginning, when you were
Okay.
making the meringue, yes.
Okay, so no, stevia will not work with that. Sugar and egg whites together, they really need the sugar, and you'd have to melt that together to give it such an easy liquidy thing to beat. Stevia doesn't actually activate it. So maybe there's a stevia that has enough sugar there's a mixture of it. I've never played around with that particularly, but it's very hard to replace the sugar in this recipe, because it actually is like scientific in the way that it works together. And unfortunately, a lot of the replacements don't act in the same way. Thank you for the question, though. I mean, if I can have everything with no calories, it would be really good. I have to say, I always say this to people because I have a bakery, right? So people often ask me, do you have sugarless? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I think to myself, you know, I really love when people eat something they really love and like and get satisfied from it, and just take a little bit. And that's my philosophy, that you should try to limit a lot the sugar, but to use it wisely. And I have a very hard time trying to, I remember when diet breads were out and sugar-free this and that. And unless you're really diabetic, I have to say it was never really satisfying. And so you eat twice as much, and that never really worked out. So if that's the reason, then I would say it's probably better to stick to this. I'm gonna go get a knife so we can cut it up.
Can I read a couple of more questions to you?
Yes, please.
Sure. Okay, so Marcy asked, is the cake strong enough to use ice cream to make an ice cream cake?
Oh, yes, actually. You can, the cake is pretty sturdy, I have to say. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that.
We see very well. We see very well.
So that's the cream cheese filling. It's very soft. You would probably have to work fairly fast. So I would have your ice cream a little bit melted and then put it in, roll it up, and get it back into the freezer ASAP. And then after that, it's really a matter of what you want to put inside, because I could have put actually more things inside, not just that. So I would probably put cookie dough. I'd probably put little things like chocolate chips or whatever. So yeah, that could be really good ice cream. I like that.
Okay. And another question from Sheila. She says, how much in advance can you complete the cake and keep it in the fridge prior to serving?
So I am a very big fan of freezers. I don't like the fridge. Fridge dries things out. Freezers are my friend. So whenever I make something, especially like this, I would stick that into the freezer And I would keep it there until you're ready to eat. It defrosts like in 20 minutes. So, and then it keeps it really fresh. So what does that answer? Did that answer?
Sheila, you can unmute yourself to ask.
Yes, whoops. Yes, of course, that does answer the question.
Perfect, thank you. So I just wanted to show you, I put the, this is something that I bought from the dollar store. I'll just show you. It's like what you would use, I don't know, they call it a curtain tie back. And I thought that was kind of fun to wrap the Torah with. Because, you know, Torahs have to be wrapped, kept together. And I put them together and I wrap it. Now you can actually do a few things with it. That's fun. What I did was I stuck in I got some from the party store, little toothpicks, and you can put them inside and, you know, have them part of the Torah handles on both sides. You can do that. It comes in a package like this. And you can do them in any color too, and you can mix and match and do whatever. And the other thing that you can do is you can just take some either powder, you can take cocoa powder or confection sugar, and you can just put it on like that. Or I like better to do it with like that, because it looks pretty, right? And that's if you don't want to make a big deal about it. I like to make a little bit bigger deal. You can ice it with some frosting. You could do that. It's sort of like a bûche Noël. But I'll show you what I did was, I'm going to put it in the microwave for 1 second. I melted some chocolate with a little bit of oil, and the oil thins out the chocolate. So if you're ever doing a fondue, you can't just have a thick chocolate. You have to add a little bit of oil to the chocolate and it becomes more liquidy. And that's what I did over here is I actually covered it with some chocolate and oil. And I will show you the consistency of it. Oops, I just spilled that on the floor. So you see how runny it is? So you would put this on a parchment paper, and I'm not afraid to do it on here because it's fine. Like I'm good to have a mess, but I would just basically pour it on top and let it fall off the sides, just like that. Could be kind of fun. And then you can sort of go back and just fill it up or whatever and let it run on the sides. And then when it goes into the freezer or in the fridge, it'll harden. And then after it hardens, you can cut around it and then you can mount this piece. So it really depends on how you want to decorate. Some people like it just au naturel. I like nothing natural. Sorry. And then it could be in any way that you like. If you're actually doing something, let's say, like I said, if you were doing a vanilla one and you wanted to put some raspberry and some whipped cream, and you can actually decorate it with little raspberries on top or strawberries. You could decorate it with a strawberry pattern. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. And when it dries, you can put this on. And then you have your scroll that looks like that. And the only thing I think I would show you is in 3 minutes, the cake is going to come out of the oven. So I am going to show you how to peel the parchment paper off to get the part that we haven't seen in real time. That could be very helpful because I think that could be hard for some people to understand how that process is. It's not an easy one, but when you see it, you'll see how easy it is. And that's the goal of tonight, is it's a visual, right? You want to see how something is made so that you don't have to look at a book and try to figure out what are they talking about. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect my ingredients now for the cheese bites. And basically, I don't know if anyone's going to do it with me. You can do this actually with, again, with one of these little mixers, but I'm going to actually make it by hand. And I have to warm stuff up again. So I'm going to need to wash this bowl out. So give me 1 second before the cake comes out, and we'll do this again. Are there any other questions, Nicola?
Yeah, we do have some questions. Sheila, you have your hand up if you want to unmute yourself.
Miriam, I was just going to say to you that I'm so glad you demonstrated this, because I wasn't even going to print the recipe because it looked like it was like awfully hard to make. And even though I used to be a baker, I wouldn't attempt it now. So by demonstrating it, I think almost anybody could make it. So thank you for that. I'm going to try it.
My pleasure. Thank you for that.
And I think, Marcy, you have another question. Did you want to unmute?
Hi, Miriam. So I know you run this big company, Delicious Without Gluten. Do you ever, though, take special orders?
Oh boy. I do sometimes. I think I do it more for like, because I love to help people. But it's a factory, right? So it's kind of,
Right.
it's one of those things I have to say, that factories run and the ovens are running and it's big production. We
Right.
are not like a little bakery where you go and you like, I'll have one of these and one of those. I don't make a variety. We pump out, let's say, hamburger buns for like Boston pizza across Canada and pallets go out the
okay.
door.
You don't want my one order for my little cake. Got it. I have one more question.
I do that in the house sometimes. Sometimes I do it at work too.
Okay, can I ask you one more question?
Yes.
I know I see sometimes you put on Facebook that like you have like certain times where people can come and pick things up. Is that at your factory?
Yes. We have a website and people can sort of order online, and then you just call before you come and you can pick it up whenever you want, or you can have it delivered to your house.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I did not know how that worked. Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. So I'm going to take the cake out because it's past its time. And I'm hoping it's okay, even though the eggs weren't beaten as best as they could. But I don't know if you can see. What you do is you just test it like this and it bounces back up. And then you know that that's ready. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, can we move this over here? Because I'm going to slide it onto, here, let me just bring it over actually, so that everyone can see it. So I have my towel that I used from before. And again, I'm going to go and take my little dusting of chocolate, because I like chocolate more than I like the icing sugar. It's not a very sweet cake after all. In the end, you can do as you like. And then I'll do again some of the icing sugar. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to flip it over and I don't want it to stick onto my towel. So I'm going to do that. And I think I'm going to move some of this so you guys can see it. Here we go. And I'm going to take my towel and then I'm going to flip it over. There we go. And that's it. So it's just fresh out of the oven. It's very easy. What I do is I'm going to peel off, remember my middle corners? I'm going to slowly peel. I don't know if you want to come on this side, maybe you can show them how this is, because you can see over here how it goes. So it just comes very, very slowly. You pick it up and it's beautiful. Just go slowly. It always works. I don't think I've ever had one that didn't work. Watch what's gonna happen now, right? Just try to get all the edges up and it'll just come right off. There you go. And then you can take another towel and, well, actually we take this towel. I'm gonna put a little bit more on this side so it doesn't stick. And then the towel flips over. Can you see? And then I wrap it up like this. And that's the whole thing. This sits for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. You can go do something else. It'll eventually come where you're just gonna feel that it's not hot right now, it's hot. And you can every now and again check it to make sure that everything is going well. And then you roll it back up and you let it sit. And you might ask, why do you do that? Some people have no idea why, but the reason is because it will crack if you don't do that. So you might risk that you will not have a very good jelly roll. So by rolling it up this way and letting it sit and cool this way, and you can, it's very flexible and it's very sturdy. And there's nothing to be afraid. You can pick it up and go somewhere, take it with you, watch TV. And that's it. So now you've seen the whole thing real time. The eggs didn't even finish whipping up and it's still perfect. Like honestly, it's very forgiving. Please do not be afraid because this is a really easy cake to make. And I keep trying it in different ways and it doesn't disappoint. So I hope you guys are gonna try it. My next thing is what I can't get my daughter to stop eating is these cheese breads, which are amazing. And they make a really amazing appetizer. You can actually put in to this, if you like spicy, you can put some spicy red pepper flakes, or you can even put some coriander. You can put whatever you want, or you can, I don't know if you want to see what that looks like inside, but it's a little imperfect and a lot of flavor. And we're going to do it in a few minutes that we have left. And I'm just going to grab the stuff from the fridge and I think we're going to go. We just need, this is one of the, this recipe. I don't know if you guys, do you have this recipe?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to use the tapioca flour, which I put inside this bowl so you guys can see like through it so that you can follow me along. And basically we just take some 2/3 cup of milk, a 1/3 cup of oil, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna go grab that. I already measured everything out. This is the oil. Do you wanna, there's a little cup of milk in the fridge. Maybe you wanna take that out. It's in the measuring cup. Yeah, perfect, thank you. And the milk. Oops. No, hold on, I'll have to fix that door. Excuse me for 1 second. As it goes. Oh, and we need the egg too. I'm gonna go get the egg. I did a little prep. It's very fast. So I've got oil, milk, salt. That's it. So I'm gonna go and warm it up until the milk boils. And you don't want to really boil the milk. You just want it to get to the temperature that it'll boil. And then from there, we're going to use a wooden spoon. There you go, a wooden spoon. And we're going to put it inside the tapioca. And once again, we had this conversation before. This is a Brazilian thing. We're using tapioca. It's a kind of, it gives it like a bit of a stretchy gummy type of thing. It's chewy, it's got cheese in it. And so it's moist and cheesy and it's great when it's warm. And you can keep the dough and freeze the dough and make them anytime you want. So you don't even have to make them and freeze them. You can actually keep the dough in the fridge. And let me just make sure that my oil's not, my milk is not going yet. There's questions? Go ahead. I can't hear anything though.
She's on mute, Nicholas.
There are some,
Nicola?
sorry, yeah, there are some questions. Okay.
Yes.
We had, okay, where are we here? Okay. Someone asked how much tapioca, but was that not on the ingredient list?
It's 170 or 175. It's really 1 1/3 cups of tapioca flour in here. And
Okay.
we have 2/3 cup of milk, 1/3 cup of oil, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I've seen some recipes that have a lot more salt in it, but the cheese is already very salty. So if it was me, I would not. Once this is going to boil, I'm going to put it inside here. We're going to get this little gooey type of dough. And then we're going to add the egg, and then we need the cheese. So hold on, I'll go get the cheese too. That's also in the fridge. So let's talk about the cheese for a second, because you could pick whatever kind of cheese you want. So some people use mozzarella and some people use cheddar. I took a 50/50 that I found in the store, mozzarella and cheddar. And then there's the Parmesan. The Parmesan here, it's already boiled. So the Parmesan, don't you like gas stoves? The Parmesan cheese gives it a really cool kick. I'm pouring the milk mixture into the tapioca. And look how gooey and gummy that is. Hold on. I'm doing it by hand. You could do it by a mixer, but I've already used my mixers and I'm not washing them. But look how gooey this is. It's kind of fun. And then we're going to stick an egg inside. That'll give it a little bit of height. Oh, I'm going to put the oven on. Forgot to put the oven. This oven has to be on 400 degrees. So it's quite hot. Anyway, we'll put them in the oven soon, but you guys will, you see what the end result looks like. So just have to loosen up this with the egg. And then once the egg is in and incorporated, hopefully you have some muscles or use your mixer. And you put the 2 different kinds of cheeses. Is the other one? I put them in. Did I put it in?
You
Right?
said they were mixed. Are they mixed in the bowl?
Yeah, I already did it. If I look back, I'll probably realize what I did, but I'm half here. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just mixing it all up together, and it's kind of like a dough, a very thick dough. Does anyone use, oops, my computer just went off. I don't know why. Hold on. There we go.
We're seeing fine.
Okay, good. So it should be this kind of thick dough. I have a pan just over here. We're going to take it. So I don't know if any, I've left my scale. I don't know if anyone uses a scale, but in baking, I always use a scale. So to do the 170 grams, it's a lot easier to pour 170 this way than it is to actually do a 1.3 cups, but you can always do a 1.3 cups. It's all good. I am a fan of scoopers. I scoop everything. I like scoopers because they're always even. So if you're baking and making cookies or something, and you make one bigger and one smaller, they won't bake evenly. So I like to have them, it doesn't matter what size scooper you use. This scooper actually makes 17. I tried it a few times as my daughter ate them. And they don't have to be perfect. There's nothing perfect about this. It doesn't have to be a circle, it doesn't have to be anything. And you just put them on a sheet and put them in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes. I've put it in for 15 minutes before, but it doesn't become as crunchy as I like. And I like when it's really, really crunchy. If you see on the bottom, they get kind of browned. And then on the top, they're a little bit speckled from the different cheeses that you use. And to this, I would put in some hot pepper flakes or some kind of hot sauce. And I like coriander. That's like my favorite. But you can spice it up also different, whatever way you like. And they make amazing little appetizers. And also, I think for me, everything has to be gluten-free just because that's my life and my kids. But I've never met someone who didn't like one of these. But you can actually, I mean, these are things that you can do for Passover. Potato starch and tapioca are easy to get, especially at IGA Cavendish Mall. I'm not sponsored, so don't worry. It's just where I know I get everything. But you can try this if you want with regular flour. I can't really do it, but I heard that it's a thing. Actually heard that it's a thing. So you would just put it on a sheet and put it in the oven, and in 15-20 minutes it will come out like so. And see how fast that was? It's kind of like an easy appetizer that is fresh out of the oven. You can keep the dough in the fridge for like 4 days if you want. You can freeze the balls just like this, freeze them. And you can keep them in your freezer and take them out whenever you want, and then pop them in the oven. That's another way to do it. I do that also with the cake, by the way. I have to say, we are huge. We have 2 freezers in the basement. We freeze everything here. There's no preservatives. So I don't eat like prepared foods. So we just freeze things, and basically you can cut it up when it's not frozen. You can cut things up and then put them in the freezer and just take out one piece at a time. And for these, I don't think you'll be able to do one piece at a time because no one eats one at a time. They're like chips. They're really good. So, so yeah, you'll have to take it at least a dozen. Whoops, you'll have to take it at least 6. But yeah, I don't know if you have any more questions. I'm happy to answer them.
There are some questions. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm just gonna read from the chat box. Okay. As a filling, could you use that's a savory filling? Could you use a sweet filling also? A sweet cheese?
What kind of cheese is sweet?
You know what? I'm gonna ask Sheila to unmute herself because she asked that question.
Miriam, I was thinking maybe like a smooth cottage cheese with maybe some raisins, something like that, like a cottage cheese filling.
You can do it. It could be good.
Remember, if you sell it, it was my idea.
All right. I'll give it a try, actually. I actually forgot the Parmesan. I thought it was already in there, but no, I forgot the Parmesan. I really like it with the Parmesan. It's too bad.
You'll have to make another batch.
I have to make another batch.
I have a question about the cheese. Could you use a cheese like with jalapeno? Because I've seen like a spicy cheese with jalapeno.
Yes.
Instead of the Parmesan,
yes.
and it would have a kick.
Yes, I actually did buy that.